On Memorial Day, during the Rolling Thunder event, Americans gather to honor the soldiers who sacrificed their lives in wars. This event is not just a ceremony but a national gathering where veterans, their families, and friends share stories, memories, and celebrate those who fell for freedom. On the streets of Washington, D.C., military vehicles parade, participants wear jackets with medals, and American flags flutter in the breeze. However, amidst the bustling crowd, one image stands out. Tomy, a veteran Marine, stands silently in the middle of the street, under the blazing sun and the sweltering summer heat. His arm is raised in salute, but it is not just a simple gesture of respect. It carries all the reverence for his fallen comrades, and it is a promise he has kept in his heart for a long time. A promise never to forget those who sacrificed for the country. His military uniform is soaked in sweat, but there are no signs that he plans to lower his arm. The medals and marks on his uniform tell the story of a life filled with challenges, the battles he fought, and the friends who fought beside him and never came back. Yet, he stands firm, resilient, just like the battles he faced. As people's eyes fall on him, they cannot help but be amazed by Tomy's steadfastness and respect for those who have fallen. People around begin to stop, quietly observing, and the surrounding space seems to quiet down. No noise, no car engines, only the image of a soldier standing strong under the sun, saluting the flag. Passers-by are moved, and many begin to raise their hands and salute, joining the solemn ceremony. People stand in silence, under the scorching heat, witnessing an act that only those who have been to war can understand. It is not just a tribute to the fallen, but also a remembrance of painful memories, losses that can never be forgotten. As Tomy stands there with his arm raised, his mind drifts back to the past, to a brother he lost long ago. Mark, his twin brother. The two were inseparable since childhood. They were not just brothers but best friends, always by each other's side, through thick and thin. They both joined the Marines with a shared determination to serve the country, enduring the harsh days of war together. They were not just soldiers, but friends, brothers who always protected each other. Tomy and Mark faced challenges together, but the war also tore them apart. In a fierce battle, surrounded by the enemy, Mark had rushed into danger to save Tomy from an enemy attack. But in that very moment, Mark paid the ultimate price, losing his life while saving Tomy. The fatal wound took Mark's life, leaving Tomy alone, with a broken heart and a memory that would never fade. The pain of that loss has haunted Tomy, even as time passed. Every time he thinks of Mark, he feels a pain that words cannot express. But alongside the sorrow is the pride he feels for his heroic brother. Mark died in an act of bravery, saving his brother's life. It was an act no one could ever forget, and Tomy vowed never to let Mark's name be forgotten. Under the scorching sun, with the unbearable pain from his war wounds, Tomy still holds his arm high. Each drop of sweat falling is not just from a soldier, but from a brother remembering his twin. Mark, Tomy whispers to himself, "You live on in my heart. I will never forget you." The memories of Mark's final day play like a slow-motion film in Tomy's mind. They stood together on the battlefield, but in the end, only Tomy survived, carrying the pain and regret that he could never escape. Yet, in these moments, he feels Mark beside him, supporting him, helping him keep his salute high, never giving up. As time passes, the heat grows more intense. Sweat drips from Tomy's face down his neck, and his arm begins to ache, but no one can see the weakness in him. His arm remains raised. Everything around him becomes still, and the only space left is occupied by Tomy and his fallen comrades. The pain from his leg injury still lingers, a reminder he can never forget of the years spent fighting. But the physical pain cannot compare to the pain in his soul. Yet Tomy refuses to let himself be weak. He knows this act is not only to honor those who have fallen, but also to prove to himself that he has overcome everything. The hot sun and waves of heat may burn, but they cannot make him abandon this sacred mission. In this moment, the people around begin to pay more attention to Tomy's actions. Those who were once strangers now become part of this moment. They stop, bow their heads, and many raise their hands in salute. Everyone understands that this is not just a personal act but a connection between souls, hearts united for one goal: to honor sacrifice and camaraderie. The heat and silence make the surrounding atmosphere feel stagnant. But suddenly, a sound emerges from afar, growing clearer: the roar of motorcycles. In that moment, everyone expects a disruption, a disturbance in this solemn moment, but what follows is completely different. The roar of the motorcycles approaching, like a storm passing by, makes the crowd nervous. The sound of the motorcycles, the wheels rolling on the pavement, creates a wave of noise that makes those watching uneasy. Some people in the crowd begin to whisper, "They're going to cause trouble for sure." Others, with worried looks, start to move away, feeling that the solemn atmosphere of the ceremony will be ruined. The bikers, dressed in black leather, wearing full-face helmets and covered in tattoos, present a strong and somewhat intimidating image. They do not look like the soldiers in their uniforms. They look like the type of people who could easily be judged the wrong way. Their presence, combined with the noisy motorcycles, increases the anxiety and fear of the crowd. The whispers in the crowd grow louder. Who are they? Are they part of a gang? One person asks, looking toward the bikers. Another, more suspicious, adds, "They're probably going to cause a scene." The motorcycles draw closer, and the crowd falls eerily silent, all eyes now fixed on the group of bikers. People are certain that they are about to do something that will ruin the ceremony. But what happens next is nothing like what they expect. When the motorcycles finally stop, everything becomes strangely silent. No one knows what to say, and the sound of the engines fades away, leaving only a profound stillness. The bikers, despite their tough appearance, do not act aggressively. Instead, they demonstrate profound respect. With surprising reverence, each biker stops, removes their helmet, places their hand on their heart, and raises their hand in salute. No words are spoken, no unnecessary gestures. They all stand together to honor the fallen, standing at attention, regardless of their past or appearance. This silence and action serve as a powerful statement of respect for those who have sacrificed, regardless of their outward differences. Tomy looks at the bikers, not with suspicion, but with appreciation. He realizes that, despite their societal judgments, these bikers truly understand what he is going through. It is a strong connection, a unity that needs no words. Under the blazing sun, with their weathered faces and tanned skin, they stand together, raising their hands in salute. The crowd around them begins to realize that this is a special moment. A group of bikers, once misunderstood, is doing something few could do, honoring the sacrifices and resilience of soldiers. One of the bikers, the toughest looking of the group, named Jake, steps out of the circle and approaches Tomy. Jake is a veteran who fought in the Middle East. He is not a man of many words, but his eyes always reflect decisiveness and loyalty. Although his tattoos make him seem hot-headed, Jake is deeply thoughtful and respects everything related to the military and sacrifice. "Hey Tomy," Jake says, his voice deep yet strong. "I understand what you're feeling. We don't need to say much. We're all family." Jake has lost many friends in war, but what he is most proud of is that they stood for something greater than themselves. When he sees Tomy standing there, he feels a deep connection to this soldier. The memories of fallen comrades, those who could never return, live on in his heart. Not just Jake, but every biker in the group has their own story. They are not just motorcycle enthusiasts, but veterans who have fought in wars and lost their comrades. Despite their leather jackets and tattoos, their hearts carry values that are often misunderstood. They stand here not to show off their toughness, but to honor the fallen, proving that they too are soldiers in their own way. After the bikers stand silently with their hands raised, the silence becomes heavy but full of respect. The atmosphere changes, and those witnessing it are taken aback. Some in the crowd, who still carried biases against these bikers, now realize that they truly understand sacrifice and respect for the fallen soldiers. Jake, one of the biker leaders, walks over to Tomy. His eyes no longer hold suspicion, but only sympathy and deep understanding. "Are you okay?" Jake asks, his voice steady and sure. Tomy looks at Jake and smiles faintly, though his eyes reveal deep fatigue. "I'm fine," he responds, "but sometimes I still feel like Mark is here beside me. Jake nods, saying nothing more. They stand together in silence, sharing a moment that requires no words. Their understanding, despite not being familiar with each other before, reflects the loss and sacrifice they both know too well. This is a reminder that sacrifice and camaraderie don't only exist in the military, but also in the hearts of those who have walked different paths. Did you know, Jake continues, we, the bikers, don't just ride and live outside the law. We've got our own stories, memories of the battlefield. We never forget what we've been through. Tomy looks at Jake, then at the other bikers standing solemnly with their hands raised. He feels a strong connection, a bond between two worlds he never imagined. The bikers, once thought to have nothing in common with him, are now his brothers, united for a single cause, to honor the fallen. As thirst strikes Tomy, his throat becomes dry, and each breath grows harder. Standing still and saluting for hours under the scorching midday sun is no small feat, yet Tomy refuses to give up. Each pain from his leg wound, each drop of sweat, each pang of pain in his raised arm does not deter him. However, those around him have noticed his exhaustion. One biker, strong in appearance with black leather gear, steps out of the circle and approaches Tomy. People in the crowd begin to whisper, "What is he doing? This will surely be a surprise." But what surprises everyone is not an act of disruption, but a compassionate, humane gesture. The biker pulls a cold water bottle from his jacket, opens it, and gently hands it to Tomy. "Here, drink up. You need this," the biker says, his eyes filled with concern. Tomy looks at the water bottle and then at the biker, his eyes lighting up with gratitude. Though he cannot speak, the small nod he gives is a heartfelt thank you. This small act from the biker strengthens Tomy, helping him continue with his honorable gesture. The biker stands silently beside Tomy, using a handkerchief to wipe away the sweat from his brow. Despite the searing heat, this gesture feels like a refreshing breeze, helping Tomy feel less weary and, more importantly, allowing him to maintain his salute to honor the fallen comrades. Each drop of cool water eases the fatigue of war, and each action from the biker shows empathy and humanity, undeterred by appearance or background. After 3 hours, the sun begins to cool a bit. Though the pain still lingers in Tomy's body, he feels a strange sense of comfort. The bikers, once thought to be from a completely different world, have now become his companions in this sacred moment. When Tomy finally lowers his arm, the memorial ceremony doesn't just end but begins a new chapter of connection, empathy, and respect. The bikers, who prove that appearances do not define character, have shown their deep respect for him and for those who have sacrificed. The entire group of bikers approaches Tomy, each of them shaking his hand and giving him a friendly pat on the back. "Thank you for standing here. You are not alone," one biker says. This simple phrase, yet powerful, reminds us that in difficult moments, we always have those willing to stand by our side and share the burden. Nothing in life is more precious than camaraderie and empathy. Tomy turns to the bikers, his eyes filled with emotion. "Today, I've seen another side of you," he says, his voice thick with emotion. "People may judge you by your appearance, but it's the heart that defines who we really are." As the motorcycles begin to roar and leave the scene, whispers emerge in the crowd, but this time, those whispers are not filled with concern but understanding. They now realize that appearance does not define a person. The bikers are not just rebels. They are people with kind hearts and respect for those who have sacrificed. Tomy stands there, watching the bikers drive away, a wave of indescribable emotion rising within him. Even though they may never meet again, this moment will remain in his heart forever. A moment he will never forget, when those who had been misjudged by society became the most amazing companions. This story is not just a lesson in resilience and sacrifice, but also a reminder about understanding and respect. Appearances don't always reflect the inside, and social prejudices are not always accurate. Compassion and humanity can appear in the most unexpected places. Everyone has their own story, and instead of rushing to judge, let's listen and understand.